All right, welcome back to Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Vinny.
I'm Dylan.
Today we're going to talk about this new Omicron variant and everything you need to know about it, and like kind of where we're at is historically and what we don't know about it still, and why does it matter to your investment portfolio.
Yeah. If you like this kind of stock market entertainment, give us a like and subscribe. We're just two stupid guys trying to figure everything out. And boom.
With that, we'll get to it.
Two stupid guys trade stocks.
All right, this is a little screenshot of the S&P from like 1 week performance. In case you missed that, it was not a great day on Friday, huh?
I mean, I feel like people already know. I started shorting the Qs at 360 with the strike price of 300, and I just felt like, well, I've already lost all my money anyway, so I'll just leave it. So I made a little bit of money Friday.
Wow.
But I'm so out of the strike price, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, so it was a pretty brutal day. SPY down 2.2% on Friday. Triple Qs were down 1.9%, a little bit less, right? Because you have a little bit of the stay-at-home classic stocks in the triple Qs. So, if you were going to just short based on this, you'd probably be better off with the SPY or maybe the JETS
I think we're past that. Yeah.
So, this is some of the stocks that got absolutely destroyed. This is basically like the pandemic trade kind of reversal here. So you saw Carnival Cruise Line selling off 11%. I have my poor man's covered call on that. Jets ETF down 7%. Las Vegas Sands, another one I have poor man's covered call running on, down 5%. But then you saw Zoom and Peloton pop up with 5% on Friday.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a call on Carnival from the swing trades, but it doesn't expire for like 14 months. So I'm probably going to buy another one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it might not be bad. We'll see what the conclusion is here. So, this Omicron variant basically originated in South Africa. It's the same province. I forget the name of the province that Johannesburg is in. So what we're kind of looking at here, this is 3 waves basically so far of the pandemic through South Africa in terms of case volume. But right over here, right at the corner, you're starting to see this pick up, right? That right there is the question. The concern is that this Omicron variant is kind of accelerating very, very rapidly and becoming a dominant strain there.
Okay.
So a little stats about where South Africa was in terms of its pandemic, as far as like managing it. So the vaccination rate is only 35%. Not great, although I guess it is one of the highest in Africa. They are struggling, not so much, you'll see one of the storylines they talk about like inequity in terms of vaccines. But they have 16.8 million on hand. Their issue is more, putting the shots in the arms. We've only been administering 106,000 doses per day, a 15-day average. They had actually been deferring shipments of vaccines because they had, as of now, 158 days worth of their current vaccination level on hand as far as number of vaccines. Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah. So, this is some of the headlines we saw as far as like Friday, why everyone was panicking is that the U.S. basically restricted travel from, South Africa and 7 other countries. U.S. wasn't the only one. You saw the United Kingdom, Canada, the European Union did it, South Korea. Pretty much anyone and everyone was restricting travel. The problem with that is that there are certainly cases that are outside of that area already. We're going to briefly touch on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So who put out a statement? According to their statement, they said the first sample that they know had this variant detected in it was a sample obtained on November 9th. They said the first case was reported to the WHO as of the 24th, which is only 3 days ago as of the time we're recording this. They kind of worry here, and I'm going to highlight that graph a little bit again here in a second, is that the rise here of this 4th wave is extremely steep, right? Yeah, we'll zoom in a little bit on it so you can get a little bit better sense of that. So the worry is that this variant doesn't respond to natural immunity or vaccination immunity. So they're not sure yet. But the worry is that the way it's acting, that it may be capable of reinfecting people that have previously had it, and also people that have been vaccinated and achieved immunity to a degree that way. All right.
Okay. All right.
So they did find for better or worse, that like there's a way that they can detect it a little bit faster without doing the whole genetic sequencing. So PCR, polymerase chain reaction, is the way that it's kind of a confirmatory test as far as confirming a viral infection, or multiple other things. But this variant has a gene missing that is one of the target zones that they use for the PCR test. So they call this the S gene dropout. So this will allow us to monitor the spread of this a little bit faster.
Yeah, that helps.
Looking at that. But it also kind of gives you a sense of the fact that this virus has changed a bit from, the kind of original Wuhan strain, if you want to go way back then. As far as what their recommendations were, the WHO did not recommend any sort of lockdowns or travel restrictions, but they recommended continuous surveillance and laboratory analysis of this new strain in order to determine things in terms of the virulence of the strain and that sort of stuff. So this is what I was talking about as far as highlighting. So if you watch the first kind of three waves of the viral pandemic there in South Africa, you see that it's kind of a slower curve here.
It's more of a bell curve.
What's that?
It's more of a bell curve.
Yeah, more of a bell-shaped curve.
That's like a starting,
Yeah, that's how things typically go in nature. Whereas this most recent wave looks more like someone who YOLO'd on out of the money options on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that works.
Friday afternoon. This is a stock market channel after all. So, that spike is pretty dramatically different from the previous ones. Yeah. So that is, it's certainly a reason for concern, something to pay attention to. The other thing that, I put sources in here because this is just, so much is unknown on this one, is that they're seeing allegedly a little bit of a shift in who is presenting as some of their sicker patients in this, which is worrisome and interesting. So they're saying they see a lot more young folks in their 20s and 30s kind of succumbing or having severe disease with this strain. So for those of you who don't know, if you study like the 1918 Spanish flu,
That's funny. I haven't looked at this yet.
Yeah.
And as soon as you saw 20, as soon as I saw that age group, I was like, was it the Spanish flu? I can't remember. But it's an increase of cytokines, right? It was like a cytokine flush or a cytokine storm or something. Is that what it's called?
That is exactly what it's called. So
school, baby.
People talk about how the third wave of that pandemic was ultimately the most deadly one, and it wasn't that it was the most deadly because it spread the widest. It was actually the most deadly because the virus in itself had become more virulent, as in like it was able to kill a larger portion of the people that infected. Yeah, and particularly it was these young 20, 30-year-old folks that were being heavily affected by it within that third wave of the 1918 Spanish flu. Like, I'm not trying to be alarmist here, but I'm just telling you, like, this is some of the stuff.
It's a fact. That's what happened in the 1918 Spanish flu. That's why it was so worrisome, because it wasn't 80 or 90-year-olds dying. It was like 15 to 30.
Exactly. And then in terms of data, this is saying that most of the people that they're seeing are not vaccinated. 65% not vaccinated, which is roughly equivalent to their population, right? So 35% vaccination rate. And they're saying that most of the rest are either only half vaccinated. So maybe the vaccine does confer some sort of immunity. Maybe,
hopefully,
according to this person. Now, on the other side of this, we have 2 people quarantined in Hong Kong that tested positive for this variant. And they've both been vaccinated with the Pfizer one. So,
okay. Yeah. Is that confirmed vaccinated, or is this like Aaron Rodgers vaccinated?
He was immunized.
Oh, okay. I feel bad for saying that. I like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I hear you. So, this is what they're talking about. They're throwing the spike proteins, these red guys here. This is like the handshake of a virus. This is how it says, hey, what's up, bro? Can I come inside? So of those spike proteins, they're seeing 30 mutations on this kind of this variant. And the spike proteins are where, different portions of it, but that is where vaccines are targeted at. That's where monoclonal antibodies are targeted at. It's definitely worrisome in terms of, because you want to prevent the infection on the outside if you can. So that's a common zone for therapeutics. Right. Now, this is looking at whether or not this is like the dominant strain. So this is a bioinformatician at the University of, I have no idea how to say that.
KwaZulu-Natal. Yeah.
KwaZulu-Natal. That's actually pretty good. You almost you knew that. That's impressive. But this variant, this is Omicron variant. This is what it was called previously to the being designated Omicron by the WHO. Was responsible for all 77 of the virus samples they had tested from that province. This is Guangdong. This is where the capital there is. Between November 12th and 20th. So they still have a lot more in the work, but it looks like this is the dominant strain of their beginning of their next wave.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is what we're talking about. It spread worldwide. There's already, this was as of today, like this morning, 2 confirmed cases in the UK, one suspected in Germany. Hong Kong, you have those 2 known cases. Israel is warning after they had their first case. I want to say there's definitely been some global spread already at this point where they're getting confirmed cases, because obviously they weren't looking at this for a fine home. In terms of yeah, exactly. So at this point, travel lockdowns are interesting, put it that way.
Yeah.
So things that we still don't know. What is the disease kind of expression in terms of this variant compared to other variants? Does this variant evade natural immunity? It looks like maybe, based on that trajectory. Same thing with the vaccine. It depends. You have a couple of contradicting sources there in terms of whether or not the vaccine may or may not be beneficial. And then, whether or not there's enough people that have left the country and spread this variant worldwide that, a global worldwide spread of it would be something we could prevent. And then another question that kind of came up that is interesting. This is a little bit of glimmer of hope, is that whether or not the treatments are effective against this variant. So Paxlovid is the antiviral medication that Pfizer recently sought approval for. Now, that works through it's a protease inhibitor, so does not interact with spike protein. So that would be something that would still be theoretically potentially effective, even if the virus is mutated to the point where it's no longer able to be prevented by monoclonal antibodies or vaccines. And so,
this is what you were okay.
Omicron, yeah. This is Omicron Persei 8. It's the alien planet in Futurama.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know. I had heard that word from somewhere. I love Futurama. I should have gotten that.
Yep. Yeah. That's where I had first heard this word. That's what I kept thinking about the entire time too. It's very funny to me.
Nice.
But yeah. All right, guys. Let us know what you think down below. We're curious. This is definitely something I'm following the developments of, and not for my portfolio's sake, but health and well-being safe. So.
And it's also another thing to think about is people have been looking for a crash for some time, and then it's just it's just not going to happen. So it's does anything, even if this isn't bad, is it still going to warrant a crash? Is it still going to warrant at least a severe correction? I don't call 2% a correction. That's just a bad day. Yeah. So it will be interesting, because this could be completely fine, but be enough to tip the scales. Or what seems more likely is this could be the worst thing ever, and we hit all-time highs.
Yeah,
because that's what's been happening.
I mean, who knows? Honestly, it definitely raises a lot of questions. From a personal
clearly
standpoint.
very frustrated.
During Delta wave, I booked a really sweet price on a trip. So I don't know. Sometimes you can take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll see. I don't know. We're gonna need probably a couple more weeks of laboratory analysis before we can have a little bit better indication of how worried we should be about this.
Well, I have a wedding in Cancun, so hopefully that doesn't mess with me.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So let us know what you think in the comments below.
All right, later, guys.